Now, it's pretty hard to do this, but just to get an idea, we'll have two people come sit one at a time, and we'll strive to, in our mind, look at them, see them clearly and specifically, then close our eyes. And while we close our eyes, we try to hold them on that particular person. And if we possibly can, go from the Savatarka stage to the Nirvitarka, Ashampragyata to the Savachara, and we will have a very clear idea who this person is. This is one of the reasons I have such a wonderful time in my life. People don't generally act like their universal self, I find, yet, but it's happening more and more. Like, if you want to know what I think of you, look at your spiritual name. The point is, this universal self is something which is emerging and will emerge the more you can do some samadhis and the more you can enter into these divine moods. So I'd like somebody to sit up there and we'll look at them and we'll see if we can, for our first little practice this evening, see if we can be able to go from the specific, first get specific about this person, not others, this person. Not this person as I knew him yesterday, this person right now. And as a result of working on that, let's see what might happen if we might not get to know this person universally from our soul point of view. We might get to know this person much higher than that, too, but if we could just get to the universal, it'd be fantastic. Have we a volunteer to sit there? Okay, great. Why don't you, while you're sitting there, think about the group as a body? What is this body? You practice thinking about this specific group. Okay, the idea is, as you know, samadhi happens inside. Very difficult, or very, usually it's quite counterfeit to do it with the eyes open, but maybe you can. You're going to look at them a while, focus, then go through the contemplation, concentration. Strive to go into Savatarka. If it can flow on to the Nirvitarka and you can retain them in your mind easily, fine. But let's see if we can be open What would you say the universal quality, if you had to put it into words, the universal quality is? Sit ups there, and we'll look at them, and we'll see if we can, for our little practice this evening, see if we can be able to go from the specific, first get specific about this person, not others, not others, this person. Not this person as I knew him yesterday, this person right now. And as a result of working on that, let's see what might happen if we might not get to know this person universally. You're going to look at him a while, focus, then go through the contemplation, concentration, strive to go into Savatārka. If it can flow on to the Nirvitarka and you can retain him in your mind easily, fine. Now, you're going to get this particular impression, and then unfortunately have to put it in your mind and go through your subconscious and other vrittis in order to come up with words. If you find down the line that you're being deceived, it's because these colorations have interfered with your having a definite samadhi. See, if you just get impressions, they might be wrong as can be. They're based on your past. If, on the other hand, you actually have a samadhi, they'll be correct every time. Samadhi is not incorrect. Samadhi is your soul, which is pure consciousness, showing you what's what. And that's why I'd sure love to have you have this a lot. We'd be so much more with it. Okay, it takes a lot longer than we normally do here, you know. If you just fine, have Nirvitarka. But I'd like to mention that you have a right, in order to have a rich life, to know the specific and the universal and the joy and the I am or consciousness body of this person. But you do not have a right to snoop. The idea is we are manifesting on all these levels. We hardly ever know one another on all these levels. It is not a yogic power to be able to know a person on these levels. In fact, I sure wish we would. We'd love one another so much more, and we'd value one another so much more if we could know one another on these other levels. These levels are a fact. Only when we become more conscious will we be able to relate to people on more of these levels. And the more specific we can get about relating to that person nicely and finely and specifically here through relationship, then we get the clue into their universal nature and on and on. On the other hand, if you want to know about their thinking and their actions and their behavior and all that stuff, you can know that too. But that's snooping, that's a yoga power, it'll keep you from going higher. But their nature, particularly, universally, joyly gets a little mucky in there because it's so much joy everywhere. You know the person has a body of joy expressing as a particular form. And then later on, they're diffused as pure consciousness. So it's mainly down on these lower planes, the Savitarka and Nirvitarka, and the Savachara and Nirvichara, that we can really get to know one another, and we can really get to love them. Your soul has come to express a very specific, particular thing, and let's say a general thing. By universal, I mean its relationship to the whole pattern of creation, a particular attribute, or a particular set of attributes. You do the samyama to get Savitarka. Samyama is concentration, contemplation, samadhi. There's the beginning of all the samadhis. It's 2/3 preparation and 1/3 samadhi, because third step samadhi. Practicing samyama, you will get everything. That's what the yogis say. A person who knows samyama has everything. Savitarka, well, we've covered a lot more than that. Savitarka up through Nirvichara are where you get so many powers. If you can just focus there and specify and stay on it, then you just get all these powers just handed to you on a platter. Amazing. Okay. Well, now I'd like to have you recall, and if you have the page handy, some of the impressions you got when striving to do your sunset meditation today, when we were striving to go through these various levels. And I said I'd try to figure out a typical one, a typical experience a person might have at these different levels, which are beyond description, but which, fool that I be, I will strive to describe. Isn't it quite scientific how they get really specific and then they allow this play to happen at these other levels? Well, suppose you wanted to practice samyama on Sri Ramakrishna. You'd interiorize after performing the first steps. You'd interiorize. You'd contemplate him. Think of these various things. Realize in Patanjali you'd concentrate first. You'd narrow the field down till you could contemplate him, which in a sense meant almost more intense concentration to Patanjali. But I think contemplation should come first, then concentration, then samadhi on taku. First, the Savitarka samadhi would be, you might be looking at Ramakrishna's whole body in your mind, with your eyes closed, and chanting his name. You might have occasional pure thoughts about him. If other thoughts come, you're back, you're not in samadhi, you're in contemplation or concentration again. But suddenly you're in this long period where just chanting his name and seeing his form, or feeling his vibration. And every thought that seems to sneak up is about him. You're in samadhi. You're in Savatarka samadhi. Now, eventually you don't have to chant his name, and you can't think about him, you're just aware of him, pure awareness of him. You're still aware of Ramakrishna there before your mind's eye. It's simple, there are no words, it's just now such a beautiful time. You're aware of him, you don't feel the need to say anything, do anything, you're just aware. As this goes on, he just kind of dissolves. But you're still conscious, if not more conscious. In fact, for a while, he comes and goes. He's there, then he dissolves, then he forms, until you're established in finally the Nirvitarka state. And then when you're really established in it, he goes and he doesn't seem to come back. And it doesn't bother you. You're just purely conscious. This process is going on, like it says in the Kathopanishad, he knows whom you let know. You're aware it's a process beyond your control. All you can do is strive to be aware and receive. You strive to be conscious. If you're trying to make him flip through these different aspects, he never will. Or if he does for you, you're deluded. That's no samadhi. You're still contemplating. You're back there at contemplation. Okay, so you were looking at him, and now he's continuous in your mind. Now it's Asham Pragyata Samadhi. Suddenly he reemerges, and you just know he's the incarnation. His universal aspect has been revealed. You can see he is an incarnation of God. His universal meaning, the Ramakrishna form, the picture you've been contemplating, begins to reveal himself to you as he is. And so there might be words or feelings or a stirring within you that's recognized. Ramakrishna is Lord, or Ramakrishna is the incarnation, or one of the incarnations. But you wouldn't think Ramakrishna is one of the incarnations like Christ, Buddha, etc., etc. It would be kind of, Ramakrishna is an incarnation. I know Ramakrishna is an incarnation. And you wouldn't think, I know either. Ramakrishna, incarnation. Some kind of noetic experience by which you just know he is God who has taken a birth. And you just know it. And then knowing this, with the content of the mind, having revealed this, the content continues, the meditation continues. Nirvichara might be a stage where this Lord, this incarnation, pronams to you. Suddenly, there's a pronam and a sense, well, I can't say to you, he pronams. And later on you determine what this means. You're not aware of yourself. There's Ramakrishna, and suddenly he gets down and bows. And then maybe that's as high as you can get or whatever. And you think it over. What? Ramakrishna and pronam. Oh, that's right. The incarnation came to serve. He came to serve all. The incarnation came to serve. The incarnation was bowing to me. He was bowing to me because he came to serve me and show me the way. Wow. So, you might go back into it another day. What I'm saying, this conscious process by which you know what the bow meant in terms of words and in terms of mind, you got to come out in order to know that. But in the actual experience, what you saw was Ramakrishna, you realized he was the incarnation, and then he pronammed. The content of your mind gathered into the Ishta, and the Ishta pronams. And usually the meaning that occurs to you when you come out is accurate, because he's moved a new state of consciousness, a new state of awareness through your cells. I would say if it's a samadhi, it's always right. But sometimes people play in this lower stuff, this lower area, they don't have samadhi, they have astral and subconscious experiences. So if there's a change in the behavior, if there's a change in the relationship to life in a positive direction, it probably was samadhi. Because Samadhi enables you to change, enables a transformation. An astral experience hardly ever enables a transformation. Now, Asham Pragyata. Here's Ramakrishna in Pranam, and now nothing again. Now the content of the mind in Sananda. Ramakrishna, pure joy, filling your being with joy, filling all with joy, just everything that is. You're not so aware of yourself. You're aware that Ramakrishna is joy, and everything is joy. There is nothing but joy everywhere. The total content of your mind, the total content of awareness is pure joy. Just joy, 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 joy. As a result of this experience, when you come out later, you realize that you are joy. You knew you were joy there, but you weren't separate from it. And that all forms in your consciousness and all forms that you see thereafter contain His joy. His joy, His being is in everything and in everyone, and in the floor that you stand on, and in the chair you sit on. This is His joy. Everything's a representation of His joy. Okay. Then, very likely formless. After the Asham Pragyata that follows Sananda, very likely formless is a realization that He dwells in this thing called you. You don't think that at the time, but you come to the conclusion, I am pure consciousness. I am pure consciousness. As a result of Him, you know yourself to be pure consciousness, because you know He is pure consciousness. You don't know you are pure consciousness. You know that somehow this relationship, He, pure consciousness, is now this self. And this self is pure consciousness. And that everything that is in the universe is pure consciousness. And its forms are all blurred because it is pure consciousness. You just see everything as pure consciousness in the content of the mind. And when you open your eyes, everything out there, you begin to see it as all Chinmoy, conscious energy. Also, in this I am pure consciousness, you realize there's only one self. Since all is pure consciousness, there's only one self. Your self is the one self. Well, we're getting way up there beyond the terms, aren't we? Beyond ability to communicate. At this point where you know you are pure consciousness, this is where God and everybody kind of quakes a little bit. But they're also very interested. Because if there are any possible impurities left in you by the time you're at this stage, there's going to be quite a show. Because now you know yourself to be all-knowing. You get the works up here beyond. When you know yourself to be pure consciousness, you can manipulate consciousness. So now come the vibhutis in full force. The high powers and the siddhis and everything. All these talents abound. And since you know you're pure consciousness, therefore you know you're all-knowing. You know you're omnipotent. Like one guy who was a yogi in Calcutta, his chela was driving a car off a cliff, off a bridge, and just plummeting. And so the yogi couldn't help himself. He picked up the car mentally from hundreds of miles away and put it back on the road. Very hard to avoid such power of just reaching out with your mind and picking up a car and putting it back on the road. You know you're there because you can actually move matter. You are also all sizes. You can be as big as you want. You can just feel that your body suddenly becomes bigger than the universe, or you can make yourself small as you want. Oh, you can just spend years in the carnival. This is a major blocking place. Any temptations that you have not dealt with prior to this in purifying yourself through the various samadhis, here they come. And the world will pretty much jump to what you ask. But you'll get into trouble, no doubt about it. No doubt your limited understanding of yourself and the world will get you into trouble. Well, if you hang on there and say, I don't really think I'm all-loving and omnipotent, this consciousness is, but this sense of who I am, I want to go farther. I want to go farther. Well, then it dies away in Asham Pragyata Samadhi, and now it gets very interesting and very difficult because the temptations are going to keep recurring and all kinds of things are going to come and try to get you because you're about to skitter off free, a free being, free of karmas, free of ignorance, free of pain, free of all these factors. Even if your body's in pain, your soul and that part of your awareness that's called the mind will not pay attention to it unless it wants to. So Asham Pragyata, you're now in the state of moving into what are properly considered the meditations with no object. Because you are the subject, and you are now not striving to know any content of the mind. You are now striving to know the self. And the self is not the object, the self is the subject. Now you can make the self, you can pretend the self's out there and try to make an object out of it that you can meditate on, but you won't be successful. Suddenly, a whole new ball of wax. The revelation, rather than the realization of the self. It's more of a revelation of the self. But it's called self-realization by some. These samadhis, since you're not putting out any object, gross or subtle, to think about, are considered to be seedless meditations. I mean, these objects are considered to be non-objects. I mean, this subject is a non-object. And so it's called Nirbija Samadhi that you're pursuing here. Nirbija Samadhi is when you're thinking of nothing. Being open to the subject, the self, to reveal itself. And so all kinds of objects keep wrestling to come to your mind. All kinds of thoughts, temptations, powers continually coming to you, and you have to keep saying, no, no, not this, no. Very challenging time, they say. So, no seed, no content is what you strive for. You got to be really high to do this. In a sense, it's an advanced Asham Pragyata. This Nirbija Samadhi is beyond consciousness. There's a flux of levels coming and going, which you have to seek to be liberated from. At times, having just let go of all mental content, suddenly it flashes into this very clear consciousness and flashes across this mind again. God's will. You sense God's will for everything, the rightness of everything. Suddenly, instead of being confused about anything, even at the high spiritual levels, you know the rightness of everything. How everything fits into God's creation. The rightness of this, the rightness of that. The rightness, the rightness, the rightness, the rightness. These rightnesses are called dharmas. So what happens is there are periods of time in there where God's will and righteousness and rightness is just very clear. And then your sense of self gets in there, and your sense of self goes away, and you feel now and then you're attuned with God who's doing everything, and now and then you're separate from God, and it's no man's land, and nobody can really tell you how to get through it except have no mental content. Well, I suppose they can bless us. Sense of I, you see, what happened in Ashmita is it's a very subtle and high ego state. I am pure consciousness. Now this one who sensed I am pure consciousness seems to dissolve and go away. Just a minute. Wasn't I supposed to be self-realized? Wasn't I supposed to realize that I am pure consciousness? How can I do that? How can I be pure consciousness when there is no I? So it goes away. How do you do that? And what happens then? Are you no longer a person? What's going on? The I goes away, the I comes back, the person's wandering around by day with an I and meditating. Yeah, what's going on? He can only have it when he's comfortable that he has no I, that he's a non-person, a nothing, a no thing. Comes back, he can't say, I am God. It's one of those really interesting places. Then the righteous self is realized. You realize that whether you have an I or not, righteousness is being done through your being at any time and all times. So that what you do is always right, not only in your soul's eyes, but in God's eyes. You have now attained truth, the perfect virtue, sat. The nirbija, the seedless meditation, continues. Suddenly you move into a cloud again. This cloud washes you of your consciousness of righteousness and your consciousness of knowing God's will in every way, and your consciousness of knowing what to do in all the things you've done, which was perfectly done of late, or perfectly thought, perfectly felt. This rightness of yourself, this rightness that you've attained through the holy path, seems to be clouded, and it goes away. This is called Dharma Megha Samadhi, which I haven't found anybody really define well. I mean, they just seem to not, like those who got it don't write books. Dharma Megha. From what I can glean from these different scholars and their viewpoints and their majority opinions, and from thinking about it, Dharma Megha. Instead of performing and doing what is right because of some universal law, it would be much better to be the divine self, which would spontaneously do right rather than know what's right. Wouldn't you rather, just out of your state of consciousness out in the world, express your consciousness knowing confidently that you're always in tune, instead of knowing what's right to do and therefore doing it? And this is a very puny and inaccurate analogy, but it's the closest I can come right now. Is instead of doing what's right, you become right. You become right, the righteous. So what happens is, Dharma Megha is when you shake yourself free from even holy action, which is being done, in a sense, from a limited point of view. Shake yourself free from your dharmas, and thus comes spontaneous righteousness. And this spontaneous righteousness is revealed to be not yours at all, because you are dead. Or your false opinion of you, which has been cherished for multi-incarnations, dies. You have never done a right thing in your life. You have never done a good thing, a truthful thing. It was God, your divine Lord, occupying your being and doing it. His pure nature, now and then having a chance to express, did it, not you. The most you could do was cooperate and let it through. You didn't do one blank thing well. It was the phenomenal divine God within your being just expressing his nature when you, in your limited, false, counterfeit self, gave him a chance. So who's free? Not you. Not the limited self. Not the presumptuous egoist. He's dead. God's free. That individual focal point of divinity is now free to express himself or herself. So long abiding that ghastly pale intellect and that stupid bunch of desires, so long catering to this tyrannical landlord, is now free to live in the house, owning it free and clear. But in a sense, that's the true you I am talking to. I am saying that this false self, this false opinion, this counterfeit notion of yourself is burned up and consumed in that Dharma Mega Samadhi. You realize an amazing thing. Is that your sense of who you are has always been just an approximation with which you related to life. You have never been separate from God. You have never been you. You have always been God. You have been God, working through various levels of incarnations to express this. Now, I didn't make this up. God created man in his image. Now you know it. Kind of like, I was never a man. God was. I was never a spiritual being. God was. God is. My individuality isn't even mine. It's God developing through a performer called Ramakrishnananda. Baffles the mind. It's kind of like, I like to say it this way. Instead of being called a human being, you now know you were never a member of the human species. You use the vehicle, the human vehicle, you use the animal vehicle, you use the plant vehicle. We're just trying to, I hope you understand it can't be said. But I'm just trying to shake free some misconceptions like when I become liberated, when I become free, when I become liberated, I am dead. God lives in me. What happens is, if you'd like to think of it this way, you, in fact, are a spiritual being created by the Lord. That's the reality. That God has taken birth into your hometown, at your hospital, and has been expressing it as you. All the while, you, playing your part in life, usurped control and thought that this play was a reality. You didn't pay any attention to the director or the dweller within your being who was responsible for the play. This Dharma Mega transformation, whereby you give up even your righteousness because it's not yours, enables you to become, instead of a separate human being, person, it enables you to move into the family where I'd like you to think of it this way. You get home into your family. It's like, let's say it's the Thakur family. Now, there's the Ramakrishna Thakur, the incarnation who came to this planet, you see. His first name's Ramakrishna, his last name is Thakur. Ramakrishna Lord. Okay. Now you become Jim Lord or Jim Thakur. In terms of your true identity, you don't have a human last name. You have a divine last name. So what's happening is the Lord, having uniquely expressed as you, that's the soul who's traveled through many incarnations as an individual, but that was God all the time. Home in the family from whence she came. So we've got the individual, Thakur.